All right. Welcome to this new edition of Cultural Awareness Podcast. Man, you listen to yours truly, Big Steph. All right. So today we have some new for you. Be ready to listen to this story of the day. But before we get there, let me just go ahead and say, welcome. If this is your first time, please feel free to subscribe. Big Steph 77 is my IG in case you want to know what this face behind the radio look like. You know what I mean? So feel free to go ahead and give it a shout out. Please like, comment, leave comment, and send in your story at 818-814-0978, and we will go ahead and discuss it on here, okay? And be ready because we have new things coming soon, man. We will be going live. So by live, I mean necessarily on Facebook, right? So that we can record everything live audio and have people calling in with all kind of story, Kevin Samuel type thing, So that being said, let's go to the story of the day. And this story is actually interesting because it can happen in any culture, anywhere around the world. So it's not just like in Africa or in the US or in Asia, but this can happen with you as well. Why? Because it's always a story regarding your best friend, right? So this girl is writing us today because she's feeling some type of way about her best friend. What happened was, good story always start with like that. What had happened was, but anyway, what happened is her father at the time was telling her, stop bringing your best friend around the house. Like, I don't like your friend being here. And the girl kept saying, like, we're talking about a girl who is 22 years old. We are not talking about it. So she's a lady, really, she passed 18, she's 22, so she's really a lady. So her father told her not to keep bringing her best friend around the house, but she kept doing it. So one day she realizes that and her father is married, by the way, so she has her mom in the house living with her father, and she always brought her best friend around. I guess her best friend kept coming around, sexy, looking good and all that, and making advances to her father. But the father didn't want to mess the relationship between his daughter and her best friend, so he just told her daughter, hey, stop bringing your best friend around the house. And apparently the daughter didn't listen. She was like, oh, she's my confidant, she's the person I talk to, we are really, really good friends, she knows my secret, please. Her father was like, no. But then time passed on, and then the girl ended up finding out that her father is sleeping with her best friend, to a point where at the time, at least when it started, he was still taking care of their mom, them, and taking care of everything at home. But now it got to a point where the man doesn't even focus at home anymore. He's out here really going out with her best friend. They sleep together. He doesn't have time for her or for her mom anymore like he used to at the beginning. So now she's wondering, what can she do to get her best friend to stop sleeping with her father? They need him at home. Because I guess her best friend thought that she could be her mother-in-law, I guess, So that is the story of the day. Now, you guys gotta leave comment, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook and Twitter. Wherever you see my podcast, we on Spotify, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, everywhere. The podcast is really doing its thing, man. So it's everywhere around the world. You can have, if you have internet, you can listen to this, no problem. And it's also on iTunes, right? So you can go ahead and listen to iTunes podcast. But let us know what you guys think about the story of the day. That being said, I will go ahead and repeat what you just heard. Yes, her best friend is sleeping with her father, and not only that, the father is no longer knowing the road to the house, man. He's staying with her sometimes, spending all money on her, and the girl is really mad because she doesn't know how to get her best friend. And now she said it got back to a point she doesn't talk to her best friend anymore because she said that's not a friend, and they don't communicate anymore. And her best friend is like, well, whether we talk or not, I don't really care, yeah, it doesn't change anything in my life. I'm still gonna sleep with your dad. I like him. I'm in love with your dad. So that is what her best friend told her. So do you guys think that, you know, I don't know how old is her best friend? About 23, 24. So yeah, she's sleeping with a man that is like in his late 40s. So I guess that she says she's in love. Is it love? Is it the money? Nobody knows. So let us know what you think. Now, for us as African, when we take a story like this, we like to put it in the context of an African society. Remember, we are in what we call a Bantu society, Bantu, So let's go on the Bantu society. Don't think of it in terms of the US way, even though the story is from the US. I have to put it in African context where I understand best, right? So the first thing of all, if you go morally, yes, it's wrong. You should, like guys, we have something called bro codes. Like, you don't sleep with your best friend exes or whatever, or you don't sleep with their girl or anything. If you know your bro is interested in a girl, like, hey, you just back up, because that is your brother, that's what they mean by bro code, right? We don't sleep with the same thing, all the same people, should I say. So that is what a bro code is. So here, this girl is literally, she just not, like, morally, of course, I'm only speaking morally. She just went way above the bro code, right? So I don't know if there's something called the sis code, like the sister code, like, but she just went way above it. She's like, no, I'm not gonna take your man, I'm gonna take your dad. Damn, what, like, man, we need to have a freaking sound effect for that, man. Damn. Jesus is Lord. Really, Jesus is Lord, man, because that friend can decide to go to do, or the girl can decide to do some nasty some nasty thing, should I say, to her friends, man. Sorry about the language, but anyway, let's get back to the topic. Really, Jesus is Lord. But anyway, like I was saying, she went ahead, and the best friend is not trying to let it go, right? She's trying to keep her going ahead and staying with her dad. That means what, man? That means this girl have to deal with it, right? And morally, is it correct? No, it's not correct, because this is your best friend. This is your confidant. This is someone you thought you could trust. And even if things happen, let's say, your dad and her slept for one night. Yeah, it can happen, but, like, man, the fact that your best friend is not even considering the woman, which is your mom, that used to live with you. And on top of it, she knows well that your mom and your dad are married, and she's coming out here to destroy your parent marriage. Like, I mean, I don't know how you can call this person a best friend, that she was your best friend. You need to look at yourself also and kind of, choose the people you want to hang around, around you, because we always get killed by our own environment. We don't get killed by strangers. It's always the people that know us the best or the most that always end up taking advantage of us. So make sure that, next time you decide to go ahead and be friends and buddy with somebody, that you really know their intention and you really know who they are, because I'm sure you probably thought this was your good friend. Well, look more like this is trying to be your stepmother or something like that, So be careful. That is also something. And again, we condemn this on the moral version. Now, let's take it like an African elder would call it. They will first say this is not good, but they will also say that this is not unusual, because there are a lot of women out there looking for a man, and when they see somebody that do things the way they like, they usually not only fall for them, but they end up, trying to get a relationship with them. Maybe your friends had some deceptions with other men out there, and your father being nice, he treats your mom well, and your friend saw that and she's like, "Ooh, that is what I like in a man, and I want him." That's the difference between a man and a woman. Your woman friend wants your in this case your dad, or most of the time your man, but guys want a wife that look like yours, you see, or that act like yours. So it's most of the time, not all the time, because I don't want people to go out there and condemn me, but that is how it is. So if that is the case, if she's falling in love with you, well, I'm sorry, there's not, I mean, she's falling in love with your dad, there's nothing you can do, anything. There's nothing you can do. Man, why am I having so much brain fire this morning? There's nothing you can do about it. Let me repeat, there's nothing you can do about it unless she open her own eyes and be like, oh, but even like that, when she's gone, she's gone. She's 23, now she's living her dream, she has a man. Your father might probably be her sponsor or something like that. That's maybe why you and your mom are not saying anything at home. So be careful about that. Now, there's really nothing you can do besides accepting her as your second mom. Again, by there's nothing you can do, it means like that girl is already far gone, right? She's in love with your dad, and really now in American society, there will still be nothing you can do. In African society, your dad, they will say, well, if you want to go ahead and take a second wife, you might as well just go and declare it as a polygamy and go ahead and take her as your second wife, but we don't suggest it because we know how your daughter will feel. But it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon that younger women fall in love with a little bit older man just because she probably feels in your dad a sense of protection, right? It's not necessary. For your dad, it might be that he's satisfying his libido, but for your mom, for your best friend, it's maybe about, I don't know, protection, money, and if she says she's in love, well, there's really nothing you can do about it. So if there's nothing you can do about it, well, maybe next time when you decide to go ahead and pick a best friend that happens to be a woman, keep them away from your dad. Number one. Number two, when your dad is telling you stop bringing such and such friend, especially when they are women, you might want to go ahead and listen to that. If it was from your mom, we will say, oh, she's jealous or whatever, but well, it was from your dad, and the man tried to warn you about it because maybe he saw something in your best friend that you wasn't seeing. Maybe a man can only, stay away from temptation for so long until he finally breaks down. And maybe at one point, you don't know what spices or whatever aroma your best friend used to, to take your dad. And number two is, as a man, I think I kind of feel your pain. What do I mean by that? Well, there's this theory in Africa that says that girls are more best friend with their father than with their mother, and guys are more best friends with their mom than their dad. That's why they have such thing as mama boys or daddy's girl, things like that, because you probably missing out on your best friend, which is your dad, right? You maybe used to talk about XYZ with your dad, and your dad used to pay a lot more attention to you, and now he's giving all that attention to your best friend, right? And I'm sure that, I think that you probably knew something was going on from the get-go, but because it wasn't messing your relationship with your dad, you let it go. But now that it's messing your relationship with your dad, that is when you decide to open your mouth. I'm just going off of theory right now. I wasn't there. I don't know if that is the case or not. But I'm saying that you are missing your best friend with your dad. You're missing, the person that you will go and complain maybe about other boys. Maybe your dad was giving you some type of directions in life, and now you feel like that person is missing, right? Because he's giving all that attention to your best friend. Well, maybe sit down with your dad instead of telling him to leave your best friend. Sit down with him and talk about you guys, right? Talk about the fact that you miss your dad. Maybe by going through that way, it will help him realize that, he might still be with her, but also pay attention to home and your mom and you, right? But I don't know, because you didn't tell me what your mom is saying about it. Maybe I don't know. But what I'm saying is you have to gain back your relationship with your dad and let that girl be, because it's too late now. Until that girl decide on her own to leave, there's really nothing you can do unless you want to go to jail. Beating her won't solve the problem, because then you will just get your own dad mad at you, right? You will break your own relationship with your dad. So I will suggest go ahead and work on your relationship with your dad and leave that girl alone. That being said, that was the story of the day, and please feel free to go ahead and keep liking our podcast if you like what we say. Like I said, we have some brand new things. I kept saying it, but we had to find the right people to be able to do the live podcast with us. So soon you're going to be watching us on Facebook and YouTube on live video. I have to put everything together for it to come true, because we are still recruiting this one friend of mine that has to find time to be able to do the podcast with us on live shows. So that being said, please take care of yourself out there, everybody. Thank you for listening to us, and again, this is yours truly, Big Steph. Peace.